Let's take a look at the weather outside.
With support provided by a Geosciences Education grant from the National Science Foundation, the Island Institute developed technology and earth science literacy training about weather systems and climate change for Maine Island and coastal elementary schools.
Right here is our cocoa container. It has little lines on it saying like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80.
It was like the calm before the storm, and the next thing, it was on us. And I mean, it was screaming.
Humidity is 97%.
Students used digital mapping, digital storytelling, and graphical analysis to better understand how shifting weather trends affect their communities, their coasts, and the rest of the world.
Every Wednesday, a few kids would go down to the beach and collect trash and take wind samples and see how cold the water was.
It was very hands-on. It's just kind of good science, good asking questions. Why is this happening? How can we record this data and look at it over time?
I'm used to, oh, we're going to do a weather project. We're going to stay inside and stuff and just research stuff. And that was always boring, so it was a nice surprise to realize that we were going outside.
A really great way to learn. They really get into the community, they get into what's happening in their lives, in the community's life, real weather, real time, and it's real learning.
People live by the tides, they live by the weather. And so there's this real opportunity to think about how that can be an opportunity for education.
What we had students look at was hyperlocal weather data with some really high quality weather stations, as well as really finding information about how climate change is affecting their own community.
And when we were developing the project idea and starting to develop our curriculum pieces, we looked around for climate change education materials and ocean science education materials for elementary ages. And there's not much out there. We haven't done a lot with our elementary students to get them excited about science and feel empowered to want to work in the earth sciences or want to, understand it better so that they can tell their friends or parents. And so having it be a topic that was exciting for them and that was presented in a way that was non-threatening. It was about learning about the weather and learning about storms, which kids think storms are wicked cool. They get really excited about it.
You're basically engaging students and teachers in activities that both excite them about the potential pathway as a geoscientist, but also even if they don't go that route, they have learned something that they can bring back to their communities.
They're talking about an oceanic and a continental plate, so... Oh, there you go. They weren't just learning things like humidity, like precipitation. They were taking those and they were measuring them on a daily basis. So it wasn't something that they learned for a week and it was dropped. It was something that they were working with for the entire year. Every one of those kids can measure precipitation like a pro now.
Just like that. And then we take some warm water and just pour it in and it melts into water.
We check the temperature, precipitation on, and the wind speed. We check that and put it on a board, every day, and then put it on the blog.
You feel tension.
STEM really was the focus of the program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and helping beef up those skills in the students that we work with. So there's a lot of data analysis using technology to help teachers teach what they already had to. So we're still getting across the same content, but doing it in a more interesting way and exposing students to technology that they perhaps hadn't used before.
When the lines are really close together, it's high wind, and when they're far away like this,
it's not as big, so we got
50%. And
What was the cloud type we decided on?
It was the H4 cirrostratus.
Yeah.
And then wind.
Okay, wind?
0.
0 like always.
So do we all agree that it's like, yeah, that's the edge of it?
It used so much technology that it kind of forced me into getting involved with the blog and all these other things that I hadn't been doing at the time. Using the technology to share between islands was something that has continued and grown by leaps and bounds. It's a different world.
The piece that worked so well in storms that was unintentional was the broader community interest.
And it was the community buy-in on Frenchboro and how important the weather station and the project was seen to the community, where the fishermen would come in for a coffee hour and would just kind of talk with the kids, have some coffee, and the kids would informally interview them about how weather affects them and trying to get information from them from historical storms to see what had happened over time.
How does bad weather affect fishing?
Well, it does all kinds of things, really. It can make them fish, it can stop them from fishing, it can make lobsters migrate or hibernate.
Also on Frenchboro, the students were in the habit of announcing the real-time weather every morning over the VHF radio, which was much appreciated by the fishermen because that hyper-local data that they were able to get from their weather station right at the school was really valuable.
North winds around 5 knots, increasing to 5 to 10 knots late, seas 1 foot or less, then around 2 feet this afternoon, a chance.
We would also video people who have lived on the island for a while and about storms that they remember and what the damage was.
There was a split in the ice that we had to step over. However, you could look down in, and the ice was so deep that you could see it.
Probably the most fun for them, where they learned the most, was probably in talking with community members about the past storms, and listening to Sanford Dowdy and Ray Hamilton talk about the ice.
And it made great skating. Always could skate to the back. I'd go to the East End sometimes 3 times a day.
They used to put snow fences the whole length of the road to keep the snow from drifting across the road. The snow would build up behind the fence.
There used to be so much snow along in there on that beach going up Sandy Point. On the average 8 to 9 foot tide, you could not walk up there without rubber boots on rolled up. Because the snow would be right out 10, 15 feet high, right against the water. Now, we've seen some snow in my lifetime.
A project like Storms really highlights that nexus between the continuity of these places and the ways that they're changing. And I think that when we find projects that we can support in communities, and in particular in schools, that really focus on that relationship between the past and the future and do it in a way that ties meaningfully into people's livelihoods and into their passions, then we are on the right track for being effective wherever we work.
During Hurricane Carol, I think it was, they would lean back against the window and trying to lean out of it, but the wind would push them back in, and it would be like sitting in a chair, sort of.
Tapping into their excitement about the weather and about storms, that's a hook where they don't even realize how much they're learning science. And having that be the process, that it's fun and exciting, is what we want. That's what we want science education to be like.
It's helped with their computer skills, it's helped with their science, it's helped with learning graphing. This will make a huge impact on the future of these kids and what they may want to study. I think that we may have some scientists